Under the low clouds of a cold Polish dawn, a deep vibration spreads through the mist. It begins as a hum, then grows into a rolling thunder of blades. The sound cuts across the flatlands near the Bug River. Locals step outside, phones raised, eyes searching the horizon. Within minutes, the sky fills with moving silhouettes, heavy, twin-rotor helicopters flying low in tight formation. 30 CH-47 Chinooks, massive, unmistakable. The air trembles, windows shake, livestock scatter across empty fields. The sound does not fade. It repeats, wave after wave, each formation following the last with perfect precision. Witnesses describe a constant metallic roar, lasting for hours, coming from the east and disappearing into the clouds above Podlasie. No public explanation, no broadcast warnings, only the vibration in the air and the glow of navigation lights vanishing over the horizon. On radar screens at the Polish Air Operations Center, new signals appear. Dense, patterned, moving west to east. Each one verified CH-47, U.S. Army origin, transponders active but encrypted. Flight paths aligned with tactical corridors near Biała Podlaska and Lublin. Analysts confirm coordinated movement, not a drill. The scale is unusual. The speed, calculated. In Warsaw, the morning brief is delayed. Secure lines open to Ramstein, Rzeszów, and Brussels. Military analysts review satellite images. Identical formations recorded over the past 6 hours. Infrared footage shows heat traces from engines, consistent altitude, synchronized spacing. The images reveal more than routine logistics. They reveal intention. And that raises questions no one wants to answer. At Lask Air Base, ground crews observe the sky through thin fog. The Chinooks pass at 300 meters, heavy and slow, carrying unknown cargo. Some show additional external modules, possibly fuel pods or communication arrays. Each machine identical, each following the same vector toward the northeast. The base logs the event without commentary. Official status: Exercise Shield Transit. Off the record: unprecedented volume. In local towns, rumors spread faster than the sound. Residents post footage of low-flying helicopters over forests and rivers. The noise is constant, the pattern deliberate. Across social networks, clips multiply. Engines, rotors, dark outlines moving in formation. The videos reach millions before the morning is over. The captions vary, but the question is the same. What are they carrying, and where are they going? In Brussels, the NATO Communications Office issues a single-line statement. Ongoing joint logistics training. No details, no maps, no time frame. Inside the situation rooms, however, internal memos circulate with the subject line. Rapid deployment phase, gray. The timestamp, 0417. The same hour Polish civilians reported the first wave of helicopters. Moscow reads the data differently. Within the Russian defense network, radar logs from Kaliningrad and Smolensk register unusual aerial activity along the Polish border. Analysts cross-check flight paths, estimate range, and payload capacity. The CH-47, they note, can transport artillery components, bridge segments, or troops. Fast. Too fast to ignore. The term logistical anomaly appears in one internal brief. Another report changes the term to potential forward positioning. By late afternoon, the clouds clear. The formations continue. Slower now, higher, spreading in pairs and trios across the horizon. Satellite trackers confirm identical coordinates repeating at regular intervals. The pattern looks rehearsed, like choreography. Yet no country claims responsibility beyond the minimal NATO note. Every journalist inquiry meets the same line. Routine operation, nothing extraordinary. Still, the data contradicts the words. 30 helicopters. Perfect formation. No deviation. No public identification of cargo or mission. Civilian flights in the region report temporary airspace restrictions. Unmarked transport vehicles appear on rural roads near Suwalki and Augusto. Fuel convoys, escorted but silent. Witnesses describe the movement as mechanical, continuous, without pause. In an underground command post outside Warsaw, screens flicker with live feeds. Thermal signatures, radar tracks, satellite overlays. A map of northeastern Poland glows in shades of green and red. A single officer marks each route with a digital tag. The count remains steady. 30. The number does not change. Neither does the pattern. Across the border, Russian air defense networks adjust their parameters. Height filters lowered. Surveillance drones repositioned. No direct engagement, no interception. Only observation. It is the quietest form of confrontation, the kind measured in frequencies, not in fire. The Polish night returns with a steady hum. The last helicopters fade into the dark, their lights blinking in intervals of 4 seconds. Somewhere far above, a lone signal remains. A pulse on the radar, motionless, hovering. Then it disappears. Silence follows. But the silence feels charged, as if the air itself remembers the weight of the rotors. And in that silence, one question remains suspended over the border. If this was only an exercise, why does it sound like the beginning of something else? In the first hours after dawn, the data lines hum with traffic. Across Warsaw, every command screen glows in green. Telemetry streams from radar posts, satellite constellations, ground observers. 30 signals, then 28, then 30 again. Shifting, circling, reappearing near the northeastern corridor. The Chinooks are still in motion. At the Defense Operations Center, technicians work in silence. Coordinates flicker. Encrypted packets arrive through secure NATO channels. The internal codename appears on multiple dashboards. Iron Veil. No public record. No open frequency. The order is simple. Maintain visual tracking. No interference. Brussels receives the same feed minutes later. In a conference room without windows, analysts compare radar frames from Poland, Lithuania, and Germany. The flight patterns align into arcs, methodical, equidistant, almost mathematical. Someone marks the shape on a digital map. It resembles a containment curve. Nobody says it out loud, but everyone recognizes it. Positioning, not passage. Reports move upward. NATO's Joint Force Command notes increased tactical readiness across Eastern Europe. Air corridors temporarily restricted. Training flights delayed. In official statements, the phrase remains unchanged. Routine coordination. Yet inside the encrypted network, a short update circulates. Eastern assets in silent standby. Await further instruction. Moscow reacts before the morning is over. At the National Defense Control Center, officers review live intelligence. A line of dots glows near Brest, another over the Suwalki Gap. The systems log multiple transponder codes belonging to CH-47 units, but none broadcasting standard identifiers. Russian intercept radar switches to enhanced resolution. Communications chatter increases, coded, clipped, tense. The assessment drafted in the early hours reads, Operational uncertainty at Polish frontier. Kaliningrad's air defense grid responds quietly. Tracking arrays rotate east, then lock westward toward Poland. Each radar sweep produces a mirrored response on NATO screens. Observation against observation. No aircraft cross the border, but the airspace feels crowded, heavy. Pilots report static on communication lines. Short bursts of interference at 20-second intervals. Electronic fog thickens between frequencies. In Rzeszów, ground teams refuel transports under floodlight. Containers marked medical and support are loaded onto convoys heading north. Their manifest codes match those linked to the Chinook formations. None of it appears on public registries. Civil aviation reroutes around the sector, citing temporary coordination testing. Passengers on commercial flights watch the empty night below and see flashes of movement where no flight paths exist. Satellite feeds from Italy's observation network pick up infrared traces along forested terrain east of Biała Podlaska. Heat signatures consistent with engines idling, rotors cooling. The formations appear to have landed, but not disbanded. Analysts debate the purpose: temporary refueling or forward staging. No confirmation follows. Official silence continues. In Berlin, early reports reach the Defense Committee. Language remains neutral. Activity consistent with large-scale logistical exercise. Yet internal annotations raise concern. Absence of Allied press coverage, absence of local coordination notices, absence of airspace broadcast warnings. Too many absences to ignore. By afternoon, new images arrive from orbital reconnaissance. 30 helicopters aligned in a clearing. Rotors folded. Hulls intact. Crews unseen. The coordinates match the Polish-Lithuanian border region, less than 60 kilometers from Belarus. A single communication tower emits a repeating pulse every 2 minutes, encrypted, low frequency. Military analysts describe it as a data beacon, possibly for navigation synchronization. Moscow's monitoring stations record the same pulse, label it unknown transmission type. Inside NATO's digital operations room, lines of green converge across multiple maps. Arrows mark refueling nodes, standby airfields, relay stations, every point interlinked. It looks less like training and more like infrastructure being tested in real time. The supervising officer issues a brief command: maintain observation, no public disclosure. In Russia's Western District Command, analysts update their threat assessment. Rapid mobility potential confirmed. The CH-47's capacity for troop deployment, heavy cargo transport, and long-range endurance transforms it from a tactical platform into a strategic tool. Commentators note that 30 such aircraft, operating in coordination, could reposition an entire brigade within hours. On secure channels, the phrase strategic imbalance surfaces for the first time. Evening settles. Across Europe, television networks air unrelated news: markets, elections, sports. The helicopters vanish from public attention, but not from radar. Each continues to broadcast faint signals at irregular intervals. In military networks, the chatter turns cautious. "Still airborne," one encrypted message asks. "Still waiting," comes the reply. In Kaliningrad, additional S-400 units roll into position. In Warsaw, night watch officers check wind patterns and visibility ranges. Both sides remain silent, watching, listening. The distance between the two sets of coordinates narrows to less than 80 kilometers. The air grows dense with anticipation, invisible but measurable. Midnight passes. The radar feed stabilizes. 28 Chinooks remain visible. 2 disappear into atmospheric interference near Augusto. The signal loss is temporary, then returns. No deviation, no distress calls, just movement, slow, deliberate, steady. Over forests, over frozen rivers, through corridors of static. Somewhere in Brussels, a late memo circulates among analysts. Phase continuation authorized. Maintain control of narrative. The wording is clinical, detached, as if the events themselves were data, not motion. But the implication is clear. The operation, whatever its purpose, has not ended. Above the quiet border, the sky hums again. Not loud, not chaotic, just persistent. The kind of sound that suggests more than movement. The kind that precedes a shift. And in that restrained vibration over the eastern frontier, Europe holds its breath, uncertain which side will exhale first. Morning returns to the borderlands. The mist drifts low over the fields where the Chinooks once hovered. The engines are silent now. The noise that shook the villages is gone, replaced by the faint hum of generators at distant bases. Nothing moves above the forests, yet traces remain. Flattened grass, scattered dust. The scent of fuel still hanging in the air. 30 aircraft came and went, leaving behind questions that no statement will ever answer. In Warsaw, the reports are archived. Every radar track, every timestamp, every encrypted message. The official summary classifies the operation as logistical training with Allied assets. Nothing more. But within the private circles of analysts, the event is marked as a signal, a demonstration of mobility, readiness, and reach. The movement of machines has ended, but its meaning lingers in strategy documents and late-night meetings across capitals. Brussels restores normal traffic across the corridors. The phrase, "phase gray concluded," appears in the digital logs. Pilots resume civilian routes. Technicians dismantle temporary transmitters, and the lights in underground rooms dim one by one. On paper, the balance returns to neutral. In practice, awareness has changed. Every radar operator, every observer, every policymaker now understands how quickly calm can turn into coordination, and coordination into escalation. Moscow lowers its alert level by degrees. Air defense crews stand down. Reports are rewritten, language softened. No provocation detected. Yet even as systems power down, the screens continue to flicker with the residual glow of what was seen. Data, once collected, cannot be unseen. In the quiet halls of command, a new concept begins to circulate. Deterrence through presence. Perception as defense. By afternoon, the Polish countryside is still again. Farmers return to the fields, children to school. The sky looks ordinary, wide and harmless. But for those who watch the movement unfold, something remains. A recognition of how fragile stability can be when the pace of events accelerates beyond comprehension. The lesson does not belong only to governments or militaries. It belongs to everyone who depends on routine, predictability, and endurance. In the modern world, readiness extends beyond the battlefield. Stability begins with personal resilience, the ability to stay clear, strong, and steady when information shifts and noise rises. Systems require maintenance, and so do people. Nutrition, movement, and rest are not abstractions. They are the foundation of control. A body that functions well sustains focus. A calm mind interprets signals accurately. The daily structure becomes the quiet equivalent of strategy. Morning routines with balanced meals, protein from eggs, beans, or fish, whole grains for lasting energy, fresh vegetables for micronutrient stability, hydration throughout the day, clear water, green tea, nothing excessive. Avoiding the fatigue that mirrors system overloads. Evening meals lighter, supporting recovery rather than tension. Movement mirrors preparedness. Regular exercise is not aggression. it is calibration. Walks that measure breathing and distance, strength work that rebuilds posture and focus, stretching that resets the nervous system. 15 minutes of controlled effort can shift physiology from reaction to readiness. In crisis or calm, that difference defines endurance. Recovery completes the loop. Sleep is the silent equivalent of rebooting command systems. 7 hours when possible, with devices set aside, air cooled, noise minimized. Short pauses through the day. Breathing, stillness, deliberate detachment from screens. These moments restore situational awareness, the mental clarity that prevents confusion when external signals collide. Across Europe, new initiatives begin to merge these ideas. Resilience training in workplaces, nutrition education linked to national preparedness, programs for community fitness and mental balance. The goal is no longer just defense in the traditional sense, it is continuity, the ability of a society to stay stable when the data flickers and the air vibrates with uncertainty. In Poland, these principles take form. Civil-military cooperation centers evolve into resilience hubs, training in logistics, first response, and personal health. Balanced nutrition plans for recruits and civilians alike. Workshops on stress control, digital hygiene, and focus under pressure. The same logic applies from cockpit to classroom. Precision, discipline, adaptability. The Chinooks, now back in hangars, become symbols of preparation rather than fear. Machines designed for rapid response, reminding everyone that strength lies not in constant motion, but in the readiness to act when needed. Power, when contained, creates stability. Presence, when measured, deters chaos. By dusk, the sky over the eastern frontier is clear. The sensors are quiet, the air transparent. Europe exhales. No alarms, no confrontation. Only the echo of what was learned. That endurance, not escalation, defines security. The strategy for the time ahead is written not in secret memos, but in the rhythm of daily life. Clarity in thought, steadiness in action, resilience in body. A diet that sustains energy, movement that builds control, rest that restores perception. The world remains unpredictable, but the principles stay constant. Health is vigilance. Discipline is protection. Awareness is strength. And as the last light fades over the fields once filled with noise, the lesson endures. Peace is not the absence of movement. It is the mastery of balance.